India in a meditation camp. And all these studies that were scanned using a GE portable technology were then subsequently uploaded on a cloud-based server by StudyCast and spread to the rest of the world. The study arrived in the United States and was spread over 75 institutions worldwide. Data sets were analyzed and were submitted back within a median interval of 12 hours. Once again, in this particular study, we realized the structural data sets were rather easier to understand. The challenge was with the data variability with functional data sets like LV function assessment. In order to standardize this further, we did the second study, the ASE vision study, where 17 physicians were trained in real time in India by sonographers located on west coast of United States. The physicians were scanning the patients in real time, talking with these sonographers. Once they were trained, these physicians then went on into a community service, scanned 1,096 patients, and these were the patients who were being assessed for LV function before undergoing a cataract surgery in this particular camp. Perhaps in the very near future, a sonographer could perform and interpret a study using a tele-robotic ecosystem. We recently collaborated with Telehealth Now and Energid Labs to perform 90 simulations between New York and Boston and Munich and Boston. And here you can see a robotic arm which is located in Boston is getting activated. You can see here the arm gets activated. It arrives on the target and is ready for imaging. And I am at German Heart Center controlling this robotic arm. And the robotic arm is now coming towards the phantom, and it's landing on the surface and performing the imaging of the structure in consideration with no time delay. As more and more images are efficiently gathered using such devices, the next challenge would be to have machine vision. And by machine vision is, what I mean is, as soon as the data is uploaded, it is automatically quantified without need for a human interaction. And this is a platform from TomTech which is doing the same. It is performing an automated speckle tracking of the subendocardial region, getting ejection fraction, strains, and all such data without the need of any manual interaction. And there is a multi-center trial we are involved currently in the United States and Europe, where we are looking at such data sets. And here are our preliminary results of comparison between automated and manual mechanics, where the correlation curves and the Bland-Altman analysis look promising. But we are going to be back on square one. More automation, faster data, more data. How are we going to handle so much of data? What do we do with so much of data explosion? If I use my data set from the single Excel file I showed, this is the same patient, one patient. And if I just take for consideration 20 time points during the cardiac cycle, 9 measurements like strain, displacement, velocity, blah, blah, per segment, distribute them into 5 categories of magnitude bins, I get about 10,000 variables per beat per patient. And this data set could exist in an internal association of close to about 2 million associations. How are we going to examine that manually? It's practically impossible to see for such data mining to be done manually. One of the techniques could be to look at this data set as a matrix. And then inside the matrix, try to look for the associations that differentiate a disease pattern from a health pattern. And indeed, that's how, in fact, our brains work. whenever a human mind interacts with the data from the external world, it goes back and tries to correlate this new data with an existing memory bank of associations. Our residencies and fellowships provide this memory bank of associations, and then tries to judge what this external data set actually means. I looked into the internet and searched out and found Saffron Technologies and Accelerated Vision who were using some new cognitive tools. Saffron's natural brain-like intelligence software algorithm is being used currently in national security, defense, aerospace, and war zone missions. The challenge was whether we could use these new cognitive tools to identify and create a memory bank of associations such that we can define a cluster of association that identifies health versus another group of cluster that identifies the disease by the process of associative memory reasoning. And the challenge we posed was the data sets of constriction and restriction. In a previous study supported by grant and aid from American Society of Echo, we had seen a unique constellation of deformation pattern that was differentiating constriction from restriction. The challenge was whether this new cognitive tool could be used to define this deformation constellation variability in these two disease groups. And here is a heat map of associations. Variables, x-axis, variables on y-axis, and their associations are shown here. Any positive association, and this association is a nonlinear, it's a nonlinear type of analysis, is shown in a green color. It's entropy-based data assessment. Wherever there is no association is shown in a dark color. And this is a data set from 15 patients with constriction, very preliminary, but you can see here a pattern that is evolving. Again, the data sets are from over 2 million associations per patient. And here is the data association pattern in a patient with restrictive cardiomyopathy. The significant associations between the variables being shown by a red color. And if we go ahead and compare these two patterns of associations between these two disparate patterns of diseases, you can see that the patterns are different. You can see the non-overlapping patterns standing out. Wherever there is an overlap, it's a yellow color. Using a very preliminary analysis with this cognitive tool, it was intriguing to see that we could have achieved an accuracy of 89% to differentiate the two groups. This is not new. This is being done regularly in the field of genetics. Perhaps with the large databases that we are currently getting in echocardiography, we need to do some new kind of analysis of these patterns. Rather than looking at single variables, we need to start looking into pattern recognition. That's how we might be able to understand and analyze our big data that is coming from echocardiography. So, ladies and gentlemen, I provided you some examples of how intelligent assessments using cognitive tools, cloud automation is providing new opportunities in functional echocardiography and will continue to fulfill Dr. Feigenbaum's prediction in the future. The White House has already announced support for the Big Data Initiative. And the National Science Foundation is already planning the roadmap to the cyber infrastructure of the 21st century program. For those of you who might fear that this intense relying on computers and advanced analytics will remove you from the patients, the answer is the merger is going to be seamless. There are going to be wearable tools like the Google Glass And we are currently trying to work with some Google Glass initiators to develop health applications. I've used some of these glasses. As I see the world wearing these glasses, I see a small window on the side on which I can see patient images, data analytics, advanced analytics. The Google Glass responds to head motion, to your verbal command. It's going to be synced to my clinical world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not fiction. This is true. Google Glasses and such wearable computers are already here. This is an example of augmented reality. So the future is really exciting, but it's going to be also very challenging. We have to come together as a community, embrace this change so that we create a future for ourselves and our patients. I'd like to thank my spiritual mentor, my father, mother, brother, and my partner, Bradley Nelson, and my mentors and colleagues and collaborators without whom I would not have seen this day. And most importantly, I would like to thank my fellows, my residents, and students who have contributed to this entire knowledge. Once again, I'd like to thank the American Society of Echocardiography for this incredible honor. I'd like to thank the engineering teams, the media animators who have worked on this for the last 3 months for the content development. And in particular, I'd like to thank Timothy Drake, who was responsible for this presentation and for bringing this magic alive here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.